Welcome to the Motherhood Tribe. We are your hosts, Erica, Katie, Valerie, and Jackie. Come join us as we talk all things motherhood, marriage, and just plain life. We have learned the importance of having a tribe from each other, and now we want to share that with you. We're so happy you're here. Come join our tribe. Hello, we are here with all four of us today. Jackie,
Woohoo!
Erica, Valerie, and myself, Katie. It's good. We haven't had all four of us in a while, so I'm loving this.
Happy to be here.
Welcome, Jackie. From the depths of sleep training, we have Jackie.
Yes.
Okay, so we had a fellow mom who is expecting reach out to us recently, and she said that she was feeling overwhelmed with all of the baby products that are advertised today. It's really exciting as a new mom to get things for your baby, and you want to prepare as much as you can, but it also is a lot to think about, and it can get really pricey too. Heaven knows that baby products are expensive. And so we discussed different ideas for this podcast, and we felt like the best way to go about this was to talk about products from the approach of the problems that they solve. This way, as you listen and experience, you can decide if this product is something that you really need or not. For an example, when my twins were infants, we used swings for them and they loved them. They were in them multiple times a day, and it was a huge help for me so that I could have free hands for part of the day. And swings are pricey, so we held on to them for any future children. But my next child hated the swing. And so we ended up selling the swing and mostly just used a baby carrier with him. So ultimately what I'm getting at is that our rule of thumb and the best advice we can give you is to simplify and to wait to buy things. So wait until there's a need that needs to be filled. And then some more advice we want to give you and emphasize is to try to borrow things, because things get expensive and you don't know if your child is actually going to like what you get. And so if you follow these two things, you'll find that you'll probably waste less money and you'll waste less time and it will take up less space.
I love everything Katie has said here. I just ultimately, and we talked about this at our what I wish I knew episode, ultimately a baby needs a place to sleep, something to transport them in, like a car seat if you have a car, and food. And that's really ultimately the bare minimum.
And diapers,
I guess,
and
some
wipes.
clothes. Yeah. Okay, maybe not the bare minimum. You need a few clothes, but like not a whole lot. So with all of these things that we are going to list, just remember that you don't need it unless you have the problem. And hopefully that can help you not feel so overwhelmed.
So having said that, we'll start with the problems and then the products that our listeners and ourselves have felt have been huge helps. So first problem.
Let's talk about nursing and feeding, bottle feeding and all of that.
So a lot of people responded to this one about sore nipples.
Yeah. So
I can relate.
Yeah. Coconut oil. Someone said coconut oil. Someone said the lanolin cream. I personally like the Lancino lanolin cream in the purple tube.
I
Are there
just
other brands.
Throw 2 cents in about the coconut oil.
Yeah.
I heard really awesome things about that and I tried it. Coconut oil is a grease. And so if you're going to use it, just be careful you don't put your nice shirt on right after. Yeah. It will ruin it.
And so is lanolin. Lanolin
Yeah,
is
that's
like
true.
oil from sheep, I think, from their fur or from their wool. And so I have stains on my bras that I use.
My pajamas
Have little nipple stains.
Yes. That's okay.
Make sure you have a pad.
Which is the next point. Yeah.
Nursing
pads. You need nursing pads help with the extra flow.
Yeah. And the nursing, I like the rewashable ones because they feel more natural on your nipples than the pad ones.
The disposable ones.
Yeah.
So you prefer the
rewashable, reusable cotton.
Gotcha.
Did you prefer the disposable?
I did.
I'm like, I can tell by the tone of your voice you don't agree with me. I like the disposable too.
I know. I'm thinking in my mind. I'm like, I did prefer the disposable, but it's because I didn't know that there were reusable ones.
I didn't
Oh.
either. Yeah.
And so
I
I wonder
had
if I would have
reusable,
preferred
but-
that.
What'd you say,
I had
Jackie?
reusable, but I had reusable ones for my first, but I didn't have enough of them, and so I felt like I had to wash them a lot, and so it was just easier to have
That's a good
disposable.
point.
There was
Yeah.
like, you know how there's those websites, I can't even tell you what they were, but like you could order it and you just pay shipping or whatever. They had like a bunch of those, like for the car seat canopy or for the whatever.
Oh,
So
yeah.
one of them was breast pads, and so I just bought a bunch and paid like $6 for shipping, and they send like a set of 10 or something. And so that was
Which
really
for anyone
pretty good.
listening who doesn't have kids yet, if you go to Bye Bye Baby and just have them kind of show you around, they will give you a little gift bag that has a bunch of deals like that. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah. And like Amazon, if you register baby stuff on Amazon or Target and someone buys from it like over a certain amount, you get boxes. You get a lot of boxes for stuff like that. Just look for all the free stuff.
All the free stuff.
All right.
There are a lot of options. And okay, Jackie, in regards to sore nipples, I know that you used those gel pads.
I did. Those were actually a little bit more for engorgement.
Oh, okay.
They go around, and so they're called, the ones that I used were Lancino brand also. So they're Lancino TheraPearl 3-in-1 breast therapy, and you can freeze them or heat them. And they give such great relief when you're engorged and just sore and uncomfortable.
But Katie, I did use the Soothies, the ones that you wrote down for. I'm
Oh,
guessing
yeah.
someone recommended.
Yeah,
I
think
did use
that's
those.
what that was.
Those are like more like jelly-y things that are like a pad, and you stick them on your nipples like cold, and so when they kind of feel like they're pulsing and like hot, you put those on and it just soothes them. But the downside is if your nipples are already raw, like they kind of are sticky, so when you peel it off, sometimes it's a
Ooh,
little
ouch.
painful.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So if
You
you
have
let
to
yourself
rinse.
leak a little bit before you pull it out, then it kind of separates. The milk helps separate them. So, but they are like washable. You just wipe them off with like wet water and reuse them. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. Nice.
All right. What about nursing in public? Nursing covers. Any favorite nursing covers out there?
We had quite a few people respond to this one, and they mentioned the nursing covers that are stretchy and elastic, because then it keeps things from like spilling out if you have to bend over or something like that. So it's a nursing cover that goes all the way around you. It's kind of like a
Shawl.
like a shawl that has an elastic top that goes over your head, and it covers your back. And
They have like
they're-
so many different versions of those these days,
Me
like
too,
the
now.
360.
Yeah.
And they're like a jersey fabric, so they're super
Yeah.
stretchy. Everyone can see
Yeah.
me doing this.
and you
And
can
you
just make them. They're it's so
Yeah.
easy to make.
Yeah, Katie and I bought a ton of jersey fabric and like started sewing. It was like this
Yep.
business idea, and then it
Never
flopped.
happened.
When you put them on
especially-
your car seat too, right? Like it's,
yeah, they stretch over your car seat.
yeah.
In fact, that's
I
another one of those
usually-
free ones, car
Yeah.
seat canopy.
And another benefit of that is when you put it over your car seat, it keeps people from like lifting it up to touch the baby. And so germs and stuff, I know some people are really concerned about germs and people touching their kids, especially NICU babies. Or
It's harder to
preemies.
access your baby with that. So.
Yeah, so you just put the nursing cover over the car seat, and then people just peek in over the top rather than touching your child.
Totally.
I especially appreciate those in the newborn days because you
Mhm.
have to like, help your child get on. It's really, it takes, although
Yeah.
sometimes I have to like stick my head under to try to see the baby. But I don't know. I feel like I'm more exposed. Whereas when your baby can kind of latch on their own, it's easier
to just hide it with your shirt or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So Katie also shared with me using a muslin blanket and just tying it around your neck to have a little bit of privacy, but it's light and airy, especially in the
on
summer.
those hot. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
loved that. Yeah.
Perfect
Really
for those
helpful.
days where you forget your nursing cover and you have that blanket.
Yeah.
And then it wipes up whatever they drool or spit out.
Muslin is a great like absorbent material.
Okay, so next topic, the problem with leaking when you're letting down. So when you're nursing, you're only nursing on one side. So leaking on the other side is a problem. What are the solutions to that?
See, we had about 20, like 20 people recommend this. And then Jackie, I know you talked about it too. So Jackie, I want to hear about it because you're the only one that's actually used it in this group.
The Haka, and I learned about it from a friend on Instagram. Actually, she posted it and I was like, what is that? Tell me what that is. Because I hate pumping. I really don't like pumping, but it's nice to have a little bit of a storage. So, when you let down on both sides, even though you're nursing on one side, like Katie said. And so you can either, as Valerie mentioned, and when we were chatting, you can either just cover that side with your arm and that kind of stops the flow.
Put pressure on your nipple.
Yeah, put pressure on it and it stops it. But if you want to get a little bit of milk supply built up without having to pump, you just use the Haka and it suctions right onto the other nipple that you're not nursing on. And the milk flows and it's amazing. I can get like 4 ounces to maybe not that much, like 2 or 3 ounces at a time.
But you can build that over each feeding and end up with a bottle for when you want to go out.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And another problem that people identified was tracking your feedings because it can get confusing, and especially when you're exhausted because you're not sleeping much. But
yeah, it's especially during the early on times. I feel like that. But there's a lot of apps out there. If you just look up like nursing
apps, yeah, breastfeeding tracker. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one, which is illnesses, stuffy noses and runny noses. My favorite product for that is the Nose Frida. I have a love-hate relationship with that thing. Oh my goodness! But the Nose Frida works wonders. And we had a lot of people second that.
Yeah, that was probably the top recommended product amongst all of our friends.
And I just also had a friend say that she used it on her toddler who had a pea stuck way up in her nose, and she was able to get it out with the Nose Frida.
Genius. Genius.
Now, I will say I might be the only one that hasn't loved it, but maybe it's just because my kids don't have really runny noses. And so I have like an off-brand, or maybe it's because I don't have the Nose Frida, like the actual brand. I have a different one that's similar, but I feel like I don't get a whole lot out with my kids. So I don't know. I don't know what it is. But on the topic of Nose Frida, so someone mentioned the Nose Frida, but then she also said she pairs it with using saline drops to help loosen it. So like, especially if you're in a dry climate, your child might be stuffy, but nothing's going to come out if it's super crusty up there. And so she likes to drop some saline drops in the nose, help loosen it up, and then she's able to pull all of the gunk out easier that way. So.
And that can help prevent a need to go to the doctor too.
Yeah.
I mean, by all means, take your child to the doctor if you need to take your child to the doctor.
Right. But yeah, that was something my pediatrician always recommended, was like, go get saline drops and suck his nose. Like that was always like a remedy, because they can't give him a whole lot of stuff. That's another thing. Take your child to the doctor, but most likely they're going to say, get saline drops and suck his nose out.
Yeah. And another one that a lot of people had mentioned was the booger scooper. The one in particular people mentioned was the Oogie Bear or Boogie Bear. Was it?
It was Oogie Bear.
Oogie Bear. Okay. The Oogie Bear. And so it's kind of like a little scooper that you can use to scoop out boogers, and people can also use it on ears as well. So,
and this person said, one of the people said they used it through like toddlerhood, which is, if you can get a few years use of any product, it's probably a good product to have.
Worth it. Yeah. Okay. What about colic and gassiness? That I feel like a lot of parents deal with that. And so there's quite a few different recommendations that we had. Did any of you guys use tablets or gripe water or anything like that?
We had to use gripe water.
Did it work for you?
Yeah, it did.
I think I might have had the colic tablets. I don't know. I'm so bad with like observing when things work or not, but a lot of people swore by Highland's colic tablets and then probiotic drops. And there are a few different brands, Gaia Bio Drops, Flora Store, and Gerber Soothe. I did use Gerber Soothe. My doctor recommended that one. They are pricey.
That's where we got that one too, was for our pediatrician. And it's expensive. But
so expensive.
It's about $20, I think, for a tiny little thing of it. But for my third child, I will say that it worked for him. Okay. It definitely helped to calm him down.
Did you have to mix it in? I think our problem was we had to mix it in a bottle.
I didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I just did the drops right into his mouth.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's where I felt like I just didn't know how to administer it in the best way, maybe. So another one for gassy babies, there was Windy, which I looked that up, and it's like a little thing that you put in their bum that helps relieve the gas. Is that right?
Yeah. I think it's made by the
it's made by the same company as the Nose Frida.
Okay. They just like to stick
yeah.
things in places and suck 'em.
Suck it. Yeah.
Oh, do you suck? You don't.
No,
suck
you
this
don't.
out.
You don't. No. That was too
Oh my
much.
gosh. Oh. But another thing too, so there's all these products, but they're also just free things that you can try. Testing for food sensitivities. I think that my daughter might have had some food sensitivities, but I just didn't know to think of that. And so some people have eliminated dairy from their diet, or they have eliminated
The biggest culprits, I think, for like food allergy gassiness is usually soy or dairy, I think were the two. And so if you want to just figure it out, eliminate those for 2 weeks. And after about 2 weeks, if you see an improvement, you can try and introduce one or the other and see if it, to determine if it's one or the other or both. But it takes about 2 weeks to get it out of your system. So just keep that in mind if you are going to test that. Because I feel like I got impatient and I was like, I don't see a difference. But it was because I didn't do it for 2 weeks, because that's really difficult to do. Soy and dairy are in everything. So you have to really do kind of, like you said, a whole foods diet.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jackie knows.
Yeah. Yeah. I had to be dairy free with 2 of my children, but it made a huge difference. And even though it feels like such a sacrifice, you're totally willing to do it because it calms your child down.
Yeah.
If your child is calm, then you're willing to do it.
I would add too, so another essential for new moms is to have a thermometer of some sort, because you never know when your kid's going to have a fever. And so a digital thermometer, preferably. They have ear ones or forehead ones. And I actually had just looked up on the Mayo Clinic. They recommend forehead ones or rectal thermometers for infants up to 3 months. Those tend to be the most accurate for infants up to 3 months. And then the ear thermometers work best from 3 months and up. So,
I wish I didn't wait so long. This summer I bought one because Amazon Prime, it was Prime Day. And I bought one where you just like point it to the forehead and you just push the button and it's like immediate and you're just like a few inches from the forehead. Like, what in the world? How have I lived through 3 kids without one of those? Because we always just had the little one that you like either stick under your tongue, or I would stick it under my kids' armpits and they would squirm and they hated having it right there.
Yeah.
It just saves you so much. Like what the
Grief.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get them on Amazon for pretty cheap.
Mm-hmm. Or the Target has them, Walmart has them.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. So just get yourself a good digital thermometer.
Sorry, while we're on the topic of this, it might be nice to just mention to have Tylenol on hand.
Oh, yeah.
And Erica, you discovered a hack.
Yeah. So my friend was saying that infant Tylenol and children's Tylenol, I mean, it's acetaminophen. It's the same thing. So they might be different. Like it might be diluted more or less, but you're giving your child infant Tylenol versus children's Tylenol is not going to make a difference. And it sounds like the children's Tylenol or infant is more expensive and they're smaller bottles. So if you have multiple children, you don't need to buy both. Anyways, just know that it's probably cheaper per ounce to go children's.
Yeah. And I'll add to that, just make sure that you check with your doctor first in regards to dosage and everything like that, because it might not be on the children's Tylenol bottle.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't
Yeah.
be. Yeah,
it's true.
But yeah.
Doctors all have print-offs that they can give you, or if you call, they'll tell you like whatever, like this is how much you give, or for however many months, or weight, or whatever. So
let's move on to another problem that we face as new moms. That's in regards to sleeping. So let's see, the sound machine was a huge one.
Yeah.
I think we all got a lot of responses in that.
My kids
to get
still
sound
use
machine.
theirs.
Same here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
It just helps to drown out the noise. And so
especially sudden noises, sudden loud noises.
That's what it is it drowns out those sudden. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's portable. You can take it with you. And they're just easy to travel with too. And tons of different options in that regard. Just read reviews online.
Yeah.
And there are cordless ones as well that you can take with you. So I had a couple of good friends swear by the little portable ones that you can stick in a car seat, especially for those colicky babies or just those babies that don't like being in the car for those first few months, that you can kind of swaddle them in to their car seat and then stick a sound machine in there in that. works like a dream.
And if you are looking to kind of spend less money, because I know sound machines, like they're oddly kind of expensive. Like, I mean, not expensive, but like more than I would have expected to pay for a sound machine. You can also, like, if you have a tablet, an extra tablet laying around, you can go to, they have like sound machine apps where you can do sounds. So sometimes if we're traveling and we can't take our sound machine, we'll put like an app on where it makes noise. Or with my first two, we just had a fan that we like pointed away from them, but it made that humming noise. And so you can get creative.
Okay, let's talk about swaddling. There are quite a few different types of swaddles that are really effective. I personally used Velcro ones. I used the Halo sleep sack, but I only used it for my twins. My third child didn't really like it. And so he actually slept great not being swaddled. Yeah, what are some other recommended brands?
So we had a lot of people talk about the Magic Merlin sack, which I don't know if that's more of a swaddle or like a sleep sack, because sleep sacks also, they have them so that you don't have to use a blanket, and it's like a safety thing where you put it on and it works as like a blanket for their legs so that they're warm, and they're like, some of them are sleeveless. I think some of them have a swaddle built in. So that's a really common one that I've seen people use. I used with my oldest would hit his face when he was sleeping and wake himself up. And so we found that the Woombi was really helpful, because any swaddle, even the Velcro ones, he could like ninja his way out of it in the middle of the night. He'd always have like, sometimes he'd have like arms out of his pajamas. Like, I don't even know how it happened. And so we got the Woombi because it zips all the way up and the opening is very small at the top. It's just like right, like a normal like crew neck collar. So he couldn't get his hands out. And so that's one that I really liked to use until he was old enough that he was rolling over. Then it's not very safe because you need to use your arms to push yourself back up.
Some other ones that people recommended were the nested bean swaddle, and then also just muslin blankets. Again, they're a lot lighter, and that's when you actually do the physical swaddling. You have to move the blanket to swaddle them.
Oh, I would just lay it in the crib already. So when the top folded over so that I could lay him on it once I got him down, and then just like fold it over him
while he was sleeping.
While he was sleeping. Yeah.
Okay. So then transitioning out of swaddling, we got a lot of recommendations for sleep sacks and sleep bags. The Zippity Zip is a popular brand, and it's just like the sleep sack that keeps their arms and legs. It kind of looks like a starfish or like a flying squirrel.
Yeah, Love to Dream Swaddle was another one that a lot of people mentioned. On the topic of swaddling, we would actually swaddle to avoid our babies from scratching their faces. And so there are other products as well that help with that. So they have these hand covers. You've probably seen them, those little mittens for babies. Most of them come off. And so it's nice when they're built into the shirt. I know Jackie's an advocate for this as well. So you can just flip them right over. And so when you do buy onesies, look to see if that is a feature on them. So then you don't have to worry about them pulling their mittens off. I did find that one brand of mittens worked for me, and it was from H&M. They have like a thicker band on the bottom. And so they stayed on my baby's hands better, but they are a pain to like slip on. It's so much easier to just flip the sleeve over. The other solution to babies scratching their face,
cut their nails.
Yeah, you can also cut their nails, but they do grow really fast. But one thing that someone mentioned is that whenever they buy gifts for moms, they get the nail clippers with the light at the end of them. Apparently you can get that. And so then you have a light to really see what you're doing. Or who said this, that you should just bite them yourself?
Just bite.
Yeah.
It works.
Well, when they're so little, it's like so hard to tell the difference between their skin and their nail, So
Yeah.
it's like I feel
so
you have more
soft.
control when it's in your own mouth, and and they're clean, and you're not going to bite hard. I just felt like that was really the only thing I could do.
Or I've heard
I should have tried that, because I totally cut my baby's finger and it was devastating. You're right. It's hard to tell the difference between the skin and the nail.
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes
when
you're
they're
not even
super
supposed to clip
teeny.
them until they're like a week old or something, because I think they still
You
have
file them.
Yeah. But you can you
Yeah.
can file even into a few weeks, like if that's something that you prefer. Okay, let's talk about baby carriers.
My third child lived in one. He napped in it, and it was amazing because I had two other little children that needed my attention, and we needed to get out of the house. And so, by your third child, you're not as worried about nap schedules and things. They just kind of have to go with the flow. And so I used an ergo, And I had the infant insert, but didn't love it because, again, I have summer babies or early fall babies. And so it's pretty warm
So
here
hot.
in Charlotte.
Yeah.
It's so hot. And so that infant insert is just really hot, I feel like. So I would just wad up a blanket and stick it on the bottom to kind of hold the baby up a little bit. And that worked for me while they were really little. And then once they got older, and I even loved to stick them on my back once they're like 8 months old.
Heavier. I feel like wraps were one that a lot of people said, and I agree with for early on. I personally didn't like to use the Ergo until they were like 4 months or so, but I really liked, they have like lots of different ones. I had the Moby, but like the Boba and the Solly I think are totally the exact same design. Maybe Solly is a little bit less, I know the Moby is a pretty thick material, so with my babies in the summers it was a little bit harder to wear because it was really hot. But any of those, or you can get like mesh ones, and I just feel like the wraps are nice because they're right up against your body. And, you know, when their heads are super floppy, it's nice to have them just like right up against you so you're not flopping them around. Another mom said that none of those worked for her, so she chose to do the Boppy Comfy Fit, and that worked for her. So I think there's lots of different type of wrap things, but cloth wraps I think are more towards like early on. And then some people continue to use them, but I feel like once my babies got bigger, I wanted something sturdier like an Ergo that had the waist strap because it weighs on your shoulders.
They get so heavy. I'm with you. I used the cloth ones early on too.
Yeah.
I also would just highly recommend to borrow. There's so many different options. So this is a really good place to borrow first. Try it, see if you like it, see if it's comfortable, see how your baby likes it, and then buy it.
Totally.
Yeah, find a meetup near you. If you just look on Facebook for baby wearing clubs or meetups, and so you can go and try things out, and they have instructors there to teach you how to wrap your child.
Right,
yeah,
that's awesome.
Because a lot of times you don't really know. You're like, I think this is how you do it. You read the instructions, but like a person that really knows what's going on can say like, oh no, you need to like have this higher on your waist, or this, you know, your child's legs need to be more bent or whatever. They know what they're talking about. So it's super helpful.
Yeah.
I also went to the store and just tried some on.
There you go.
Smart.
Yeah.
What store did you go to? Did they
Mind blown.
Did they have samples to try on?
They did. Yeah. I went to Bye Bye Baby. So
okay. So Bye Bye Baby has like ones
then.
out of the box.
Yeah. They were really good too about knowing how they should be worn. At least the one I went to. I just grabbed a girl and I was like, "Hey, help me. I know nothing." And we just tried on a bunch. So
good.
That's another option if you don't have a group you can go to.
Ask lots of questions. Like, don't just settle for one, for sure. So many people have ones that, you know, they're hanging on to it for their next baby. Facebook Marketplace, like I've accumulated like 3 or 4 Ergos, all for either free or under $10. I have them sitting in my closet right now. So like you really can find good deals on.
So contact Erica if you're
contact me if you need an Ergo. I'm like giving them away to like moms that are pregnant. I'm like, here's an Ergo. Another few models that are popular, some Baby Bjorn ones. I had a Baby Bjorn one that didn't have a waist strap, and I couldn't carry my kids past 4 months because it hurt my back. But I know that they have a model with a waist strap. Infantino has one. Lily Baby and Tula are also ones that are great when you get into toddler years.
So another thing just to free up your hands is, in regards to diaper bags, is to get a backpack. Don't go for purses.
Yeah.
They
like
just
over the shoulder things. They slip off your shoulder, hurt your back.
They do hurt, yeah.
I did an over the shoulder
backpack.
one. Yeah, same here. I did an over the shoulder one with my twins where it like is kind of like a messenger bag. And I loved that I could just reach into it. It was right there and I could reach into it. I didn't have to, so it would go on my side.
Right.
But anytime that I was trying to get the car seats in and out of the car or the babies, it would flop around.
Falls on them.
Get in the way. Yeah.
Like you lean forward and you're like punching it back to like behind you. It just comes right back at you.
Yes. So go for the backpack.
There's a lot of off-brands on Amazon that you can find that have all those things.
I mean, back when I was getting one it was like 6 years ago, over 6 years ago, you couldn't find them anywhere. I mean, I paid through the nose to get a backpack one. And now I'm seeing them at Target all over the place.
They're so popular now. I think they are.
They're not hard to find.
Yeah. Another thing to have your hands free is like a play gym. One of my mom friends said that after they're like a little bit past newborn, if you want to like lay them on the floor, it's really helpful if they have something that's like dangling that they can look at. So those floor gyms that have like the
arches.
thank you. Yeah, with that thing's dangling, that's helpful. Or like a mirror, if it has like a mirror that they can look at of themselves and stuff, that kind of helps them stay stimulated without, because otherwise you lay them there and after a while they start crying because they're looking at a white ceiling and being like, what's
Babies get bored.
Yeah.
They get bored before they can move around and really interact a whole lot. I feel like I move them from thing to thing to thing, especially if I need to get something done. I'm like, okay, let's try the bouncer for a little while, and they like it for a little while, and so it's always helpful though to have something. You always need something to put them down in or on, because you're making dinner or you need to shower, or so having a bouncer seat or a jumper. We're going to talk about that too. Jumpers are awesome.
Yeah, the bouncers
are dive into that. Yeah.
I was going to say the bouncers are super nice because they're slightly inclined. And I feel like all of my babies had, well, not all of them, 2 of them had really bad like reflux, like just they would spit up a lot. And so if I fed them and I laid them flat on their back, they'd either like choke on their spit up. It just wasn't a pleasant situation. So I would often put them in a bouncer so they're inclined. So at least the spit up would like kind of come down instead of just back into their throat. And then also with those, like a lot of them have vibration settings, but a lot of them you just kind of push and they bounce. So if you're like trying to do work sitting down, like you can kind of just bounce it with your foot. And I mean, I feel like a lot of my babies slept in those during the day, or like swings where they're kind of like sitting up but not completely, like those reclined seats.
And you can find those at secondhand stores or different sales.
Consignment sales.
Yeah. You can get them for pretty cheap. So
we didn't keep a swing because my 3rd child didn't like the swing. And so, but then at the gym, I found out that my 4th child loves the swing. So I was like, shoot, I need a swing. So I got one at a consignment sale, and it was just this little portable one that I could kind of move around the house. And it was awesome. Worked really well, and it was cheap.
Sometimes the were the only way that my kids would fall asleep, and so I'd put them in there if like I knew that they were sleep deprived and it was a rough night. I'd put them in there so I can get stuff done in the house and they would actually sleep for a few hours. So I know I think the warning says it's not for sleeping, but if you're in the room and
keeping an eye on them,
they're strapped in and stuff, it's not usually a danger.
Yeah. Okay. So then another one that Jackie had mentioned earlier was the jumper. It's so good for keeping them entertained.
Yeah. And this is like, keep in mind, this is like later on in babyhood. So this isn't something you need right away, obviously. It's just when you find that you're
5.
5, 6, 7 months. Like when you find that your child, when you hold them and they keep kicking, like they want to jump, like I feel like that's a really good indicator. Did you guys have that with your babies where you hold them and they just kept kicking off your legs over
your legs? Yeah.
I feel like that's
so cute. The door jumper is my favorite. It's just, they're so stinking cute in that thing.
And they just go. They go for hours.
Yeah.
Jump. Yep. So some people don't have doorways where you can clip those things to. And so if you don't have a doorway that works, then you can get like jumperoos, and they're pretty pricey, but also people are constantly getting rid of them because they take up so much space that once you're done with it, it's like, get it out of my house. So you can probably find a used one very easily. So at a certain point, they just don't like being on their back anymore. So there's the jumpers like we talked about, or there's like those portable seats where they can like play at a table that are helpful to just keep them contained. But then they get to a point where they want to push things and walk around. And I feel like that's a good time to have like a walker of some sort where they can stand and push. And that's like, what would you say? Like anywhere from like 9 months on. I feel like my babies love just pushing that around the house and kept them entertained.
Okay, so then when it comes to diaper rash, there are lots of different things that you can use to help with that. And one of the things that doesn't require anything, that just like a tip, is to just let your baby's bum air dry before you add any cream to it or before closing the diaper. Because when that moisture is locked in there, then it just keeps the skin irritated. And so my pediatrician recommended wiping their bum and then letting it air dry and then applying cream and then closing the diaper just to help the skin heal. So what types of creams did you guys...
Well, I was going to say, I also had a doctor once with diaper rash to just say, like, don't wipe if it's like really irritated, just like rinse it off in the shower. Because sometimes just that wiping motion can chafe the already really tender skin. And so if you have access to a bathtub, to just kind of like run them under the faucet and let the water do the trick is helpful too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
My favorite brand of cream was Desitin. because it provides like a really thick barrier. It's a pain to get on, but you can use different types of things. They have a new spatula that has been invented. It's called like a butt spatula. And
My goodness.
so you don't, I know, but I think it's genius because you don't have to use your fingers to apply it. You just put the cream on the spatula and then wipe it on the baby's bum and then use a wipe to wipe off the spatula.
And if you do have to use your fingers to put on the baby Diaper Rash cream, just use a wipe and it wipes it off of your fingers.
I would even just use the diaper sometimes.
Yeah, I wipe it into the diaper.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's smart.
There are a few different brands that people mention. I don't even know how to pronounce
Butt paste is my favorite.
I've heard that.
I
Yeah.
know, I've heard that
Oh,
one too.
Boudreaux's butt paste.
Yeah, that one's
Yeah.
awesome.
There's Calmoseptine, which supposedly was a really good one. Calmoseptine. And they said that you can't really find it. It's not out with the other creams, but it's the best. So that's one.
On Amazon.
Sometimes they would, what'd you say? You can get it on Amazon or at a pharmacy. For some reason, it's never out with the other baby creams, she says. Also, she layers it with Aquaphor, which you guys, Aquaphor is like, I never used it until I moved here to New York, where we have like the harsh cold winds, and my baby's cheeks would turn like red and crack, and their skin too. And Aquaphor, I just like cake that on their entire body from head to toe, and they like are back to normal the next day. That stuff is like it just coats your skin and protects it so that it can like
That's so funny. As you're explaining that, I'm like, I think we have natural in Seattle just with all the moisture. We have natural Aquaphor in the air.
Another brand was Resinol, and then IHLE, and then someone else said coconut oil. And those were all different ones that people had mentioned.
My sister-in-law said coconut oil for everything.
That's
It's magical.
It really is awesome.
Antibacterial, antiviral.
They have Cradle Cap. You can rub coconut oil into their hair, and then there's Aquaphor. People recommended using Aquaphor also for Cradle Cap or eczema. Hydrocortisone cream, but
that was me. I put that on the list. So my second had really, really, really bad eczema. The doctor recommended hydrocortisone, which is not typically like a baby product. So just check with your doctor, but he doesn't have eczema anymore. So
I think it's really, really bad. My son did too, like the 1%.
Yeah.
Hydrocortisone.
Yeah. My doctor recommended that too.
Yeah. Okay, good. I'm not alone.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I know like Aquaphor and Eucerin, they're also, like with my kids had Cradle Cap, and you just like cake that on and they're all greasy, but it's supposed to help. And then someone else said Lush Cream.
Okay.
So many options. Don't get overwhelmed.
Yes, just choose a cream, and it's okay if you need to try it out. Yeah.
Luckily, creams aren't like super. You're not breaking the bank, and you'll end up using them eventually. So.
And they last for a long time.
Yeah.
With all this, all the problems, if you have a problem, there's so many solutions.
Yes,
it's true.
On the topic of diapers, diaper pails, honestly, this is just going to be like a don't get.
I loved mine though. I know,
Valerie,
I loved mine.
Yeah,
1 out of 4.
So we have to add.
But they're
expensive, and they.
The refills
I feel like they're a big. Yeah, the refills are expensive, and there's a lot of talk about them, but. I don't know. I ended up selling mine. Yeah.
Yeah. So mine you could use regular garbage bags, which probably helped for.
Yeah, that would eliminate
There
one
was
of
no
the
extra
hatred
cost.
things.
So what was the brand of that one, Valerie? Do you remember the brand?
It starts with a D. It was like Decor.
Oh yeah, Decor.
Yeah. It was a good one. We just got the smallest size. So I didn't even like encourage large diaper buildup. It was just the smallest size.
I would say, okay, that's a smart thing, because part of the problem is that if you look for a bigger one, you're thinking like, oh, bigger, it can store more diapers. Less often I have to take it out.
Nasty.
But yes, that smell.
No.
that
Every time you took the bag out of that dang thing, the whole house, you're like, oh, someone just You just get it,
cut it
you just get it
open.
10 times
Like, you
worse
cut the
once
bag
a week instead of
so bad.
Oh, just
So
take
then we
out
had it in
your
our garage.
trash
It's like,
as soon as you're done. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So
on the topic of diaper bags, so one of the hacks that one of the moms said was to have diaper bags in your bag. Diaper bag. Well, there's too many diaper bags. So like plastic
Poop
bags.
diapers.
So like
Plastic bags.
yeah, so
Hold
like like
diapers.
the poop bags
Doggy
that you
poop.
have for dogs, or I mean, if you want to just not buy a certain brand, you can just your grocery bags.
Munchkin makes a specific one.
If you
for
want
baby
cute color
diapers.
ones.
Yeah, If you
They're
want
blue
cute color
or
poop
pink.
bags to make it a little bit easier, take the edge off.
They might even be scented. I don't know.
I know. Actually, I do have a roll of bags that someone left with me, and they were scented, and so maybe that's helpful.
There you go.
But you
But
can
it's
also,
nice. It's nice because you don't have to remember to throw more bags in there. You just have there's a roll of them.
Yeah,
And so
that would be
you just
handy.
keep it in your diaper bag. And so
And they
because
don't
I
take
had
up
the
much
problem where I
space.
haven't had that, and you have a poopy diaper and you don't have a place to throw it away.
Yeah.
So then I stick it in my car
And
and
then
I
your whole car
forget about
smells
it,
like
or
a
I put
diaper
it
pail.
in my diaper bag. Yeah, exactly. Or you stick it in your diaper bag, and then you're like, oh shoot! The next day, everything in there
bag's
smells like
rotten.
poop. So yeah,
actually,
Never
that
happened.
that
it's
reminds
never happened
me.
to me.
It's good to just keep a gallon Ziploc bag in your diaper bag at all times for soiled clothing, because that stuff you probably, I mean, unless it's like extremely soiled, you probably want to wash it and reuse the clothes, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And so it's nice, or like pee, like if your kid has an accident or it leaks out or something, it's always helpful to have just a gallon size Ziploc in your bag to like.
I mean,
put
you
those
could
soiled
use
clothes.
the diaper garbage bags too. You just tie a knot, but
Yeah, that's true.
just some type of bag.
I
Because
feel like it's a sturdier plastic.
Yeah, that's
Like I don't want that touching my stuff.
That's true.
Okay, on the topic of blowouts, when it comes to clothes.
Yes. So, in case you didn't know, onesies have the little petal sleeve for a purpose. It's not just cute, it has a purpose. So, if your child blows out, you can actually pull the onesie down instead of, I've done this so many times, maybe many of you can relate, trying to roll it up carefully so that you can get it over the baby's head without getting poop all over. You don't have
Which
to do that.
never
Stop
works.
doing
Hey,
that right now.
The thing is, like, that's so great that it does that. Why doesn't it say it on like the packaging? Because I've gone through
Right?
kids and I've rolled
Yeah.
the darn onesie off every single
Yes.
time and gotten poop on the back of their head. You know,
I know.
We
I
need to
know.
spread
Why
this
doesn't it say
around.
that?
it should say like pedal flaps for blowouts on the packaging.
There we go. Boom. I
But
didn't
that's
know that
also-
really until like my third child.
That's
So.
also good advice to always have a onesie under, like to layer. And I mean, I found that with babies anyways, because like when your shirt and your pants separate, like their back always is exposed. So I always had a onesie under all of their outfits, but that's another reason to have one. So then it catches the poop.
Have an extra change of clothes in your diaper bag.
Okay, so then another hack is pacifier clips. I loved those because your babies spit out their pacifiers and then it falls on the floor and then it's gross. And so this pacifier clips just like clip onto their clothes.
I would clip toys. I mean, my kids didn't use pacifiers past like 4 months, so they always had something that they were messing with, and I hated to always have to pick it up. So they're helpful for that too.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Smart.
Yes. And you can use carabiners on your stroller so that water bottles or sippy cups or bags, things
Grocery
like that.
bags if you live in the city.
Yeah. So just
Your
clip those
stroller
onto your
zipper.
stroller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another person said that if you are a bottle feeder and you do like formula and your baby is picky about like temperature of their formula, to have a thermos in your to keep like hot water, because they keep water for quite a few hours. And so then you'll have some warm water to create a warm bottle for your baby.
Okay, we just shared a lot of information with you all, and we just want to remind you that you don't need all of these things because you won't necessarily have all of these problems. Make sure that you keep that in mind before going out and buying all of these products. We also didn't address every single product that was recommended to us. We focused on the ones that were recommended the most. So we're going to be creating a document that we'll be able to share with you, and we'll be able to share that link through our different accounts, our Facebook and Instagram account, and you'll have access to all of the different products that have been recommended by fellow moms.
And if you have any that you personally want to share, make sure that you tag us on at the Motherhood Tribe on Instagram, or share a post or comment on the Facebook page and we can add it to the list.
We are not sponsored.
Amen.
Very good note.
See you next time.